What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So today, I wanted to talk about LaMarcus Aldridge signing with the Brooklyn Nets on the buyout market, because this is, a high-profile move considering LaMarcus's status as a multiple-time All-Star. He's made All-NBA teams and has been a very good player throughout his career, and now he's leaving the Spurs and joining the Nets, and everybody's losing their minds because the Nets are adding, a sixth former All-Star to their roster, fifth or sixth former All-Star, whatever, right? To join their big three. They obviously just got Blake Griffin a while back, and now they're also adding LaMarcus. So this could be significant, but honestly, I am more of the opinion that this doesn't really matter that much, and I think most people I think most rational people probably agree with me on that. So let's kind of talk about that and the ramifications of this signing. So, like I said, this is a big profile name, right? A lot of the social media, like ESPN, Bleacher Report, all these outlets are gonna, post these memes about the Nets loading up and having all these all-stars, and they're now this next super team and it's unbeatable. And like all these big accounts are gonna say, oh my gosh, this is insane. How this team is completely unbeatable now that they have LaMarcus Aldridge. They're gonna be totally unstoppable now. And it's like, well, I mean, I get it. Like I said, this guy is a former All-Star, multiple-time All-Star, made All-NBA just like 3 seasons ago, he was like All-NBA. So, he's a very good player, but has not been very good at all this season. And really last year he wasn't that great either. And so him joining this Nets team should not be the last straw to kind of push them over the edge of, wow, this team is going to be completely unstoppable in the playoffs. They already were really, really good. I made a video on this a while back of just don't overthink the Brooklyn Nets and what they're doing, because this team is clearly very good. I mean, all you have to do is look at the roster on paper, and then, given the fact that they've had this huge winning streak without Kevin Durant, it's indicative of just how good this team is. James Harden's playing at an MVP level right now. Kyrie Irving just returned tonight and played really well. And they're just completely rolling. Their offense is ridiculous. Their defense is honestly not as bad as some people have cracked it up to be. I talked about that before. And so this team is still very, very, very good. And even the LaMarcus thing, like, while yes, I think it does make them a better team because you can't really go wrong adding a former All-Star. I don't think you can really, nothing is ever going to go badly with this. I think this is only a positive for them, but this is not the thing that pushed them over the edge to make them this unstoppable team. And it's kind of just don't overreact to the signing pretty much. But if we can break down just how LaMarcus might fit with Brooklyn, let's kind of talk about that, right? In the report when he signed, and the rumor is that he's going to be playing a lot of center, because he had been kind of splitting between center and power forward in San Antonio, depending on, who else is on the floor with him and what the role was per season or whatever. So kind of splitting his time between the 4 and the 5, right? The Nets want him to play a lot of 5, which makes sense given the lack of quality big men on their roster, we'll say. And they could use another, body to step in there, a guy who's experienced, knows the role, and is able to give them some minutes there. I do worry about what the rotation is going to look like now between him, DeAndre Jordan, Nick Claxton, and then they're also going to want to go small at points. When KD comes back, they've talked about playing him at small ball center. Jeff Green has played a little small ball center. So they have lots of options here, right? Steve Nash has quite a few options at his disposal here to work with and figure out what's the best for this Nets team. I don't think LaMarcus is going to close games for them. I don't think that's their best option. Their best option is probably to go small and run some lineup. Maybe it's the KD at center lineup or the Jeff Green at center lineup, and then you just run at your guard spots with Kyrie, James Harden, and Joe Harris all on the wings there. And then, whatever you want to do with the rest of that, right? That's probably what their closing lineup looks like. They've been experimenting with a lot of things over the past couple of weeks, and obviously they don't have KD right now, so we haven't seen them at full strength. But I'm assuming that LaMarcus probably won't start, and that he probably won't even close games either. So he's just going to be coming in for like offensive reps, basically. He's not that good of a defender anymore. Kind of slow and can't really move like he used to. But he still does have those, those mid-range jumpers in his game, and he can hit the 3 well enough. and has that post-up game that we've seen him use for the past 15 years or however long. So he can still do things offensively. I'm not worried about that, especially with the way that the rest of this team works and the way that they move the ball. I think he's going to get a lot of open looks, and he's going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities in the post, because you're just not going to be able to double anybody on this team because everybody can score. So he's going to be able to get his points, and I would imagine he would just come in for 10 to 15 minutes a game and kind of plug in for some offense. But realistically, this is not a game changer for them. Honestly, a lot of people have raised concerns about taking away Nick Claxton's minutes because of just how well he has been playing over the past little while, since he's really been in the rotation full time. Because Nick Claxton is a guy who, if you don't know, was, I think, at the top of the second round 2 seasons ago. So this is his second year, and he was like the 31st pick, if I remember correctly. And he didn't play much his rookie season, and then this year he hasn't really been in the rotation at all until recently when Steve Nash has put him in there, and he has been a great energy guy. Has shown, he's super athletic, he can get up, and I thought he's been pretty good defensively, and he's been doing all these little things that make you think, hey, this guy might actually be their best center right now. He's probably better than DeAndre Jordan already, and I would say, if you're going with a true center lineup, he's probably the best center on the roster, unless you're running small ball with KD or Jeff Green in there, which might be a better lineup. We don't really have enough lineup data on that. But that Nick Claxton could potentially be their best option. So I do worry about giving more minutes to the veteran in LaMarcus. They're more obligated to give him the minutes, just considering his status, reputation, and his place in the league. Even though Nick Claxton out there might make them a better team, we'll just have to see how that shakes out. I'm not sure what Steve Nash's plan is in terms of rotations. We haven't seen it yet, so it's just all speculation at this point. But I think LaMarcus should probably fit in very well. It makes sense that he would. I just hope that he doesn't take a ton of minutes away from Claxton. And then the other thing to think about is the fact that this takes him away from the Heat, and that it potentially could be relevant. Even more so than him being on the team, just him not being on Miami, because they were considered the favorite to get him, and he ends up choosing Brooklyn. And that could very well be a postseason matchup. And I think LaMarcus would have had a bigger impact on the Heat than he will have on this Brooklyn team, just because they traded away Olynyk. They did end up getting Bjelica back in the trade. Back in a different trade, actually. So they get Bjelica, and he can kind of step into that Olynyk role. But I think LaMarcus would have been a good fit for that as well. He could kind of slide right into that starting power forward spot. I think he works well playing off of Jimmy Butler and all those other guys with Bam Adebayo and stuff. I think that probably would have been a better fit for him personally, but I get it. Choosing Brooklyn probably has a better chance at a ring, so whatever, I'm not mad at it. But I would have liked to see him on the Heat. And I think he would have had a bigger impact there. So the Nets getting him to keep him away from Brooklyn might be relevant come playoff time if that matchup happens. I think that could end up being a factor here. So I don't know. This is an interesting scenario. We have seen ring chasing happen before, right? And I mean, this is nothing new. But you couple this LaMarcus thing with Blake Griffin, and you have two veteran power forwards, both of whom made All-NBA like 2 seasons ago. But I have not been good the past couple of seasons, both a little injury prone. LaMarcus is not, hasn't had a ton of injuries in his career, but last year or so he hasn't played a ton. And Blake has had a lot to deal with. So 2 power forwards bring him in, into this rotation who are going to expect playing time and expect touches and minutes, unless they fully buy in, which would only be good for the team, right? If both of these guys say, hey, I don't care about my role, we're just trying to win a title. But, who knows, right? Because these guys are accustomed to being the guy on their team, so we'll just have to see how that all works. Blake has been good so far for them, so, hopefully it works out for both of these guys, and they're able to come in and make an impact for the Nets. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out with the Claxton thing and, comparing their playing time to some of the younger players. It'll be interesting to see what goes on for the rest of the season. But yeah, I think that's about all I have on the Brooklyn Nets signing LaMarcus Aldridge. Like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell if you want to. Leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about this move. Do you think it's going to work out for both sides? Did this ruin the league? Because honestly, it didn't. And if you think it did, you're kidding yourself, because this guy is very well past his prime and it's going to be okay. But yeah, with all that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.